It all began on a night that felt wrong, even before it started. The sky was heavy with clouds, black and thick, and the wind carried a strange, sour smell that made my stomach churn. I had been visiting an old friend, Rahim, who lived in a remote part of the city, a part so isolated that the streetlights were sparse, and even the occasional dog would howl unnaturally as if warning travelers to turn back. Rahim had always been obsessed with the occult, the kinds of things people whispered about, but never dared to explore. He claimed he had inherited books, manuscripts, and objects from his grandfather, a man rumored to be deeply involved in black magic, Jinn, summoning, and rituals that the locals never spoke of openly. I had laughed it off before, thinking it was just stories. But something about that night didn't feel like a joke. We were sitting in his dimly lit room, the only light coming from a single candle on the low table between us. The shadows it cast seemed alive, dancing unnaturally along the cracked walls. Rahim brought out a small leather-bound book, so old that the cover was almost falling apart. Its pages smelled of smoke and dust, and the script was strange symbols I didn't recognize, curling and twisting in patterns that made my skin crawl. "This," he said in a hushed voice, "is the book my grandfather used. He called it the Book of Shadows, but it's not what people think. It's not just spells or charms. This is real black magic." I tried to laugh, but it came out hollow. There was something in his eyes, a seriousness that was almost frightening. "Show me," I said, my curiosity overcoming the unease crawling through my chest. Rahim hesitated, then slowly opened the book to a page marked with dried bloodstains. The symbols on that page seemed to pulse under the candlelight, almost like they were alive. He traced a finger over them, and a chill ran through the room. The temperature seemed to drop. My breath fogged in front of me. "Tonight," he whispered, "I'm going to perform a ritual. Just a small one, to show you how it works. Nothing dangerous, I think." I didn't want to agree, but before I could protest, he had already started arranging items: black candles, a small bowl of water, a piece of raw meat, and what looked like a human bone, polished until it shone. The air grew heavy, oppressive, almost thick, like it was pressing down on my chest. Rahim began chanting words I didn't understand, guttural sounds that seemed older than the world itself. The shadows in the corners of the room started moving differently, stretching longer, darker. I could swear I saw shapes forming faces, twisted and staring, in the periphery of my vision. My hands shook, and my heartbeat thundered so loudly I thought he could hear it over his chanting. Then it happened. A knock, soft, deliberate, from the door. "Who's there?" I asked, trying to sound brave. No answer. Rahim's eyes were fixed on the book. He didn't even flinch. Another knock, louder this time, then scratching, like nails dragging across wood. I swallowed hard. "Rahim, maybe we should stop." Maybe, but he didn't stop. He just chanted louder, faster. The candle flames flickered violently, though there was no wind. Then a shadow appeared on the wall behind us, not ours, not cast by the candle. It moved independently, stretching toward us, shapeless but terrifying. I tried to move, tried to reach for the door, but my body was frozen. My mind screamed, but my limbs didn't respond. The shadow seemed to grow larger, darker, until it filled the room, pressing down on us, suffocating. Rahim's chanting changed. The words were no longer human. They were screams, almost syllables that sounded like teeth grinding. The air in the room quivered. Then the shadow moved toward Rahim, and he didn't notice. I screamed. Finally, my voice broke the paralysis. The shadow stopped for a moment and turned toward me. I saw it clearly, eyes red and burning like coals, a mouth twisted in a permanent, horrifying grin. Its shape was humanish, but the limbs were too long, the fingers ending in sharp claws, the head stretching unnaturally. And it spoke, not with words, but with thoughts, directly into my mind. "You will not leave. Not tonight. Not ever. I collapsed to the floor, and the room went silent. The candle went out. Total darkness. When I opened my eyes again, Rahim was gone. The book lay open, but the pages were blank. The room was cold, freezing, and I could see my own breath in the air. I stumbled to the door and ran, but the hallway stretched impossibly long, like the house itself had grown. Every step I took echoed endlessly. The scratching followed me, always just behind. Outside, the world had changed. The streetlights were flickering, the wind screaming like a living thing. Shadows moved in the corners of my eyes. Figures appeared in the mist all, dark, impossible shapes watching me. And I realized, I wasn't just afraid, I was marked. Whatever Rahim had summoned, whatever he had called forth, it had chosen me. I reached my car. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely start the engine. I drove blindly through streets that twisted like a nightmare, every corner revealing some impossible shadow or flickering face. When I reached home, exhausted and terrified, I tried to sleep. I couldn't. That night, and every night after, I heard whispers through the walls, sometimes scratching, sometimes breathing close to my ear. Sometimes I woke to see a figure standing at the foot of my bed, staring, unmoving, the eyes red, the grin wide, the fingers long and clawed. I tried to get help. Priests, exorcists, imams, I told them everything. They all said the same thing. This is real black magic. It cannot be undone so easily. You are marked. And I realized, with a cold certainty, that my life was no longer my own. Whatever Rahim had summoned that night, whatever real, terrifying force of black magic had entered my world, would not let me go. Even now, writing this, I feel it. Watching, waiting, smiling. The shadows in the corners of the room stretch longer than they should. Sometimes I see the red eyes in the reflection of my computer screen. I know it will come for me fully one day, and when it does, there will be no running. Because black magic is not a story. It is not a myth. It is real, and it never forgets. If you enjoyed this true horror story, hit like and subscribe for more terrifying story. If your heart is still beating, you're not alone.